So here's two things we know for sure about the world we live in. Number one, there's always daylight somewhere. And number two, when daylight stops, it's because the sun goes below the horizon. We see this every day. It's pretty easy to confirm. I mean, we have the internet and stuff, so you can call someone in a different part of the globe who is somewhere where there's daytime while it's nighttime at your place. We know that that's never a point where there's nighttime everywhere. So those two things, though, the fact that there's always daylight somewhere and the fact that when daylight stops, it's because the sun is going below the horizon line, those two things can only be true if the Earth is in fact a sphere. It can't be true if it's flat. If it doesn't appear obvious to you why that would be, it's just because, I mean, think about it, right? I mean, let's assume that the Earth is flat for a second and try to explain those two facts. That means that all of the places on Earth has to be on the same side of this flat plane, right? I mean, it can't be on the underside, because if it was, then, I mean, we would all know that, oh yeah, every time you go to Spain, you have to, turn on the other side of the flat plane, right? So everything has to be on the top side. All the places that you know of, all of these places. But since you know that the sun always sets by going underneath the horizon, that means, I mean, the fact that when during sunset the sun is partially blocked by the horizon, that means that it's going underneath the flat plane, right? I mean, it's going below the horizon. Now, if the Earth is flat, that would mean that once it's underneath the horizon, the entire top plane of the Earth should be dark. The fact that it goes below the horizon and it's still shining on some part of the Earth has to mean that the Earth that we know still exists on the other side of the horizon, below the horizon, which can only be true if the horizon actually curves. Right? I mean, this is a fairly obvious. I mean, frankly, it's not like this is the only obvious point. It's pretty obvious that the Earth is a sphere. But, I mean, why am I even making this video, to be honest? Well, I mean, I guess I'm making it because I think this is really entertaining. People kind of still believe this shit. I don't know. It's just one of those funny things. I mean, this is not a very serious political channel. It's just. Yeah, I mean, that's the only point I'm going to present. I think that's more than enough to say that you are actually an idiot if you think the Earth is flat. It doesn't take that much thinking to derive to the conclusion that it's actually not possible for the Earth to be flat.